Hello and welcome back, my Royal Rogues. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Royal Rogue. Tonight we have not so shocking revelation that the Harkles allegedly are not sleeping together anymore. But something even more concerning than all the lies that we are used to when it comes to the Montecito duo is that I don't know if I should keep calling them the Montecito duo because we haven't seen the Montecito mansion in a while. Don't you find that strange? And remember when we used to see Meghan using her acting skills to pretend she was working while Gingerbread was playing with his balls outside? Oh, those were the days. I'm missing that time. So, according to Music Mondial and a non unexpected anonymous source, Harry and Meghan try to avoid each other when they are in their Montecito crib and do not sleep together. In addition, they only go out together in public in an attempt to fool the masses and make them believe the marriage is okay. Well, this is almost a blind gossip, but hold on, because there's more. Memories matter, and that's what everyone told Meghan about the Dockside Mansory. That the only thing people would remember was the mocking curtsy. And the Sausage Squad can say all that they want, saying that she was not mocking the Queen, but herself, but I disagree, because body language never lies. And that smug shot at the end was more than enough to confirm her true intentions. And speaking of Sausage Squad attacks, remember that on my last show they said all kinds of terrible things about Louis when Sky News dared to imply that he was not impressed with the air show he attended with his parents and siblings. But that is just plain wrong, and I want to set the record straight. The clip that Sky News published was cherry picked with malice. Cherry picking, as in selecting the exact moment which they could use to write a headline to grab people's attention. And this is knowing how focusing on Louis is going to attract all sorts of nasty comments criticizing his behavior or William and Catherine's parenting. Yeah, we know that when you're a public figure of this scope, there are always going to be critics. But they miss the point, such as photos like this one. Of course, he was attracted to visual action, as I mentioned yesterday. And well, he's looking at a paratrooper with real interest. Maybe he finds that duty fascinating. And talking about the Wales children, I wanted to comment on this photo shared by Princess of Hope. George and Charlotte were raised that way. They learned to separate private, play, and fun from events that require certain behavior. They are very polite, and when George greets, he really looks like a prince. Children are the pride of Wales and the entire royal family. So let's take a look at George's body language. He's giving a handshake to one of the men at the air show, and George looks confident, taking a step forward, keeping his elbows relaxed and a bit separated from his body, which is good self reassurance. And he's looking at the man straight into his eyes, it's solid eye contact. You know that this is something that makes William really proud because he looks at him with delight, not to mention Catherine with the same feeling on her face. That's why the media tries to focus on Louis and come up with anything that could be treated as an attention grabbing headline. But speaking of attention grabbing, this is one article that I had not talked about. Newsweek comes defending the Harkles. Prince Harry's battle over Princess Lilibet's privacy. I'm going to spare you all the fluff of this puff piece, and after all, it comes from James Crawford Smith, who is another Omid scummy wannabe. But the fact is that it just focuses in those photos from the 4th of July. And what is the most ironic or absurd thing, whatever you want to call it, you remember that it was page 6 that published the original pics without blurring Lily's face, right? But when the Daily Fail published the photos, they made sure to blur her face. Crazy how that works. An American tabloid, page 6, gets away with publishing it as is. Do you think the Harkles will sue them? Because even if the Harkles are so lawsuit happy, there's one detail on that Newsweek article that is a bit, let's say, confusing at least. In fact, as I understand it, they actually asked the Post to blur Lily's face and got no response. I don't know how about you, but this struck me as if they exposed themselves from victims of the media to, hey, we already know this was going to happen because we are into the whole thing, but we certainly don't know how to play dumb. And yes, playing dumb is not something that Harry does. No, he's a complete professional about it. We've got memes as well. Remember the rumors that Harry had called William? Well, I wouldn't be surprised if the conversation went more or less like this. Harry, this is really hard for me to admit, Willie, but I've stuffed up. I should have listened to you. I'm so happy with Meghan. I can see through her now. We're separated. She spent all our money, and I want to come home. Can you take the papa for me? And William goes like, who is this? And speaking of William, we got this nice photo comparison through the ages thanks to BRF portraits in which we can see William close to 30 years apart but united by the same gesture. I find it nice to spot this kind of photos that unite two vastly different eras from someone's life. But even more cute is when you see it between generations, not only with the synchronicity between William and Catherine, but also George and Charlotte. The fact that this was not taken at the same Wimbledon game makes this comparison all the more fascinating. But that doesn't really happen with others. And thanks to Adelaide Reynolds, we got a nice blast from the past in regards to the Duchess of Sussex. At least she's consistent, predictable. Pap walk with flowers so she doesn't have to share the spotlight. And you know why Meghan does this? She does this to imply that she's somehow in touch with nature, with the beauty of flowers and stuff. But it's not the same just going to buy some flowers for your home that being a conservationist, don't you think? I mean, if money grew on trees, I'm sure she'll take a shot at it, but not gonna happen. And we also had the opportunity of watching Princess Anne recently visiting Jersey, and I noticed that a number of royal watchers noticed that she was the best at re-wearing at engagements. This yellow dress was the same she wore at Remembrance Service in New Zealand back in February. I'm not an expert on these matters, but I'm sure I've seen her in that yellow and navy coat on other times. Like always, I would love to know what do you think about this in the comments. My Royal Rogues, I'm thankful that more than 1 million of you watched my videos in the last 30 days, but somehow only a fraction of that million have subscribed to my channel when it's completely free. All you need to do is hit the subscribe button, and that's it. Thanks for inspiring me to make these daily videos. And remember, much love and bliss.